Isang paalala, ang video na ito ay ayon lamang sa aking sariling pananaliksik. Hindi ko nais na pilitin ang sino man na maniwala sa videong inyong matutunghayan. Kung hindi kayo kumbinsido sa mga impormasyon at taliwas ang inyong paniniwala sa kaalamang aking ilalahad, maaari kayong gumawa ng sarili ninyong pagsisiyasat para sa inyong kakontentuhan. Ang videong ito ay gabay lamang sa mas malalim na kaalaman at pag-intindi at hindi gawa ng isang profesional. Naniniwala ako na malaya tayong magbigay ng opinyon at suhestyon bilang malayang mamamayan ng Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po. Noong 1995, in-interview ni Chris Aquino si Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. sa kanyang talk show na actually yun na ipinalabas sa RPN 9. Napansin ang interview dahil sa komplikadong kasaysayan ng kanilang mga pamilya. Si Chris ay anak ng dating Pangulong Corazon Aquino at ng yumaong senador na si Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. Habang si Bongbong naman ay anak ng yumaong Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Sr. at ni Imelda Marcos. Magkaibang panig ang Aquino at Marcos sa politika, kung saan ang pamilya Aquino ang may malaking papel sa People Power Revolution noong 1986 na nagpatalsik sa rehimen ng Marcos. Tapat na inamin ni Chris ang tensyon sa pagitan ng kanilang mga pamilya. Sinabi niya, ang dahilan kung bakit nakakulong ang tatay ko ay dahil sa tatay mo. Binanggit din niya na naging mabait si Imelda Marcos, ang ina ni Bongbong, sa kanyang ama nang nagkaroon ito ng atake sa puso. Mabait ang nanay mo sa tatay ko nung magkaroon siya ng heart attack. Ikinuwento ni Bongbong ang pag-uusap ng kanilang mga ama. Sabi niya, Brad, bakit mo naman ako kinukulong? Sagot ni Ninoy, Brad, kung ikaw ba naman ang nasa posisyon ko, hindi mo ba gagawin? Sa kabila ng kasaysayan ng kanilang pamilya, puno ng respetong naging tono ng interview, inamin ni Chris na matalino at mahusay magsalita si Bongbong. Sa totoo lang, tuwing nakikita ko si Bongbong, napakatalino niya at mahusay magsalita. Hindi siya mukhang taong pumatay ng iba. Ang interview ay isang mahalagang pagkakataon sa telebisyon sa Pilipinas dahil ito ay isang bihirang pagkakataon ng nagkausap ang dalawang pamilya na may matinding kasaysayan. Muling napag-usapan nito noong 2021 nang lumabas si Bongbong sa Tony Talks ni Tony Gonzaga na nagpasigla ng talakayan tungkol sa relasyon ng Aquino at Marcos. Marami ang bumalik sa lumang interview at pinuna ang tapat at respetadong usapan ni Chris at Bongbong. Narito ang ilan sa mga mahalagang bagay na kanilang napag-usapan sa naturang interview.
Kasi how old were you when he was elected, Bale? Bilang presidente?
Yung unang birthday ko sa Palacio was 8.
8 years old. So, actually, all of your teenage years?
All of my teenage years and
including your 20s?
Most of my 20s. Yeah, mga 28 na kami nung umalis. So that was a long time. Yeah,
was he a disciplinarian?
Well, hindi naman sa disciplinarian in the sense that he would make very clear kung anong hinahanap niya sa inyo, what he expects from you. And he would make it very clear if you did not live up to the standards that he put, that medyo masama ang loob niya sa'yo. In terms of actual pure discipline, yung pumapalo or something like that, hindi naman gano.
Ang mommy mo?
Mami ko, mas lalong hindi. Masyadong mabait yun. She cannot even, she would just, siguro pag hindi na niya matiis yung frustration niya, iiyak na lang yun. Pero in terms of actual beating, as the English call it, I was beaten more in my school in England than I ever was by my parents.
But nung when you were growing up, did you have children's parties sa Malacanang?
Oh, madalas. In fact, yung mga children's parties namin, yung mga party namin mga magkakapatid, doon na ginagawa sa Palacio because we would invite a lot of people. So, kahit na ngayon, ilang taon na ito, we're still feeling the effects of what my father did. And I have no doubt, to the day I die, I will be feeling those effects. I guess, nung talagang mabigat na, tsaka masakit na, well, there were times, no, that especially after 86, when people were taking real liberties with the truth. And wala, nandun kami, hindi kami makasagot, wala kaming access sa mga media, wala tayong magagawa, ganun lang talaga. But yung run-of-the-mill na pangkaraniwan na it's those levels of standards that my father said. I suppose it's the same kind of thing that she's trying to continue to keep uppermost in our minds, that there is a level of standard. I always say that my son will not be pushed, or he will be exposed to everything that goes on in the real world, but he will have a choice, and when the time comes for him to decide what his career will be, he will have a choice. He can be a musician, he can be a writer, He can be a politician. He can be anything he wants.
Ang 1986 had a profound effect on my life, as I'm sure it had a profound effect on your life. Do you think na with what happened, did it bring your family closer together? Dahil 'di ba, in the face of adversity, talaga, sino bang nag-unite kung hindi yung magkakapamilya?
Totoo yan. At pagka sinasabi sa akin, what are the good things that happened, because of this, the exile? And sinasabi naman nila, sinasabi ko, isa sa pinakamagandang nangyari, talagang naging malapit kami mga pamilya. And
Yes.
and I wasn't married yet then, but my sisters were with small children. And sinasabi nila, mas mabuti na rin in a sense that they now found the time. Kasi kung hindi nangyari yun, they'd be working, they'd be doing things, hindi nila nakikita yung kanilang anak. Whereas now, they are able to just, when we were in exile, they could spend time yung walang ginagawa.
Was it a difficult adjustment? Kasi for us, it was a very difficult adjustment because biglang walang adjustment period, di ba? Normally, when someone is elected, meron kang time for yung di ba, like in the States, from November, January pa bago nagkaka-inauguration. So, maganda yung turning over. Ito, bigla-biglaan. Sa inyo ba, how did it feel na biglang, hello, goodbye Philippines, hello America?
It was shocking. In the pure sense, you were
Nalaman mo ba kung sino yung mga tunay na kaibigan?
Oo.
They say that's what normally happens.
Well, talagang makikita mo talaga kung
marami
sino
ba
yung
talagang
didikit o hindi.
balimbing, Bong?
Yes.
Bakit? Sorry.
As we've mentioned, this is history in the making, Pero matagal-tagal bago maulit ito
Masagot
na...
mo muna sa kanya yun,
Tingnan,
yung
mas
tungkol sa
maganda-
balimbing.
Yung balimbing. Oh, sige.
marami
Mamaya
pa talaga.
makopa naman yung sabi mo. Sige.
Kung maraming balimbing, hindi, alam mo, ang tingin ko ganito, people are not, hindi naman masama ang tao. Meron masama talaga na hindi naman kailangan mamintas pa marami pang sinasabi. But there are people na makikita mo, that's their survival din eh.
Hinate mo ba kami?
Hindi.
Teka, ito na nga. Ito ang magandang segue
I was
dyan.
explaining that to him. Kasi
Sige
before, I was telling him na I was a year and a half, tapos sabi ko, kulang na lang isipin ko meron kayong mga horn sa ulo ko. Dahil, syempre, di ba yun ang kinalakihan ko? So, I was wondering kung was the situation the same for them?
Well, I think, in our case, because we have, as I said, been in politics for a long time, yung mga personal na namin, hindi masyadong pumapasok yan sa hate and love. And, well, siguro sa umpisa, when unang reaction mo, sasabihin mo, bakit naman ganito? Bakit yung mga tao ngayon? But after a while, lalo na yung sa 86, nung nasa Hawaii kami, sabihin mo, ganun talaga ang buhay, wala kang magagawa, just get on with it. And then yung sinasabi mo, akalain nyo lang sa amin, may sungay na, and all that. How did that come about? Because we were always...
Hindi naman ikaw siguro personally, but syempre, di ba, ang nakatatak sa utak ko, the reason my dad was in jail was because of your dad. So, tapos, gano'n ka diretso daw. Hindi, totoo naman ho talaga yun. Kasi nga, I was explaining to him, I was only 18 months old when martial law was declared. So, 18 months lang ako nun. So, syempre, ang kinalakihan ko, dumadalaw kami sa Fort Bonifacio. And tinatanong ko, bakit ganito? Bakit ganyan? And syempre, bumabalik sa daddy mo. But then, I remember, of course, na your mom was very nice to my dad nung nagka-heart attack ang daddy ko at ang mommy mo nag-facilitate na makapunta kami sa Amerika. So, hindi naman ako blinded totally na lahat ng ginawa nyo evil. Hindi naman ganon.
I once saw your dad when he came to the palace.
Yes.
Na balitaan namin, I was hanging around. Si daddy nag-iisa sa opisina niya. Sabi ko, bakit walang tao? Bakit walang bisita? Sabi, pupunta si Ninoy, mag-uusap silang dalawa. And your father arrived. And I was so surprised, nakatago ako sa likod. As usual ko, basta't may alam kong medyo importanteng nangyayari. Like, you talk about history in the making. That was history in the making. Nakatago ako sa likod. And I was so surprised. Ang tawagan nila, Brad.
Because they were both from Upsilon, di ba?
And I remember a question that my father asked. And it's, your father asked this. Sabi, Brad, bakit mo naman ako kinukulong? Bakit mo naman ako linagay sa Fort Bonifacio? Ang tanong naman ng tatay ko sa'yo, Brad, kung ikaw nasa posisyon mo, sa posisyon ko, hindi mo ba gagawin? Yun, nagtawanan silang dalawa. So I suppose they were able to see further than
well,
that.
Siguro, di ba, pagka mag-anak ka, mas matindi talaga yung nararamdaman mo.
Sa bagay, kung gano'n ang
Kung siguro, if 8 months from now, and you were jailed, siguro, yung yung anak mo rin naman siguro, yun ang kalalakihan. Kung sino man yung in power at that time, will also be, I guess. But in fairness
unfortunately.
naman, I've always said, every time napapanood ko si Bongbong na napakatalino niya, napaka-articulate na, at mukha naman siyang hindi makakapatay ng tao. So, yun naman ang sinasabi, ba? Mukha siyang mabait talaga. Yung
About
tanong
running
namin
for the
sa'yo.
presidency, I don't know.
Is it one step at a time?
No, I did
Yung
not
ano?
enter politics to become president.
You entered it for what purpose?
I entered, very specific yung akin. Doon lang nasa Hawaii kami. I remember when we arrived, they literally took everything away from us. And when we arrived, we had nothing. And ang mga tumutulong sa amin, yung mga Ilocano, alam naman natin, ang daming Ilocano doon sa Hawaii. And po, lumalapit sila, tinutulungan kami, nagluluto sila, pinapakain kami, nagkoleksyon pa para makabili ng refrigerator, kung ano-ano. So, you know, you can imagine, this is somebody who
Mararamdaman mo talaga
Oh, yeah,
yung pagmamahal ng mga tao.
So, ang aming iniisip, sabi, kailangan natin magpasalamatan itong mga ito. And this is how well do you serve the province? At hindi ko naman iniisip ang pagka-Senado. Napapag-usapan na lang yan. So, I guess here we are now, life as a way of surprising us. And now that I'm here, but I did not go in, uunahin ko yung congressman, tapos magsisenado ko, tapos tatakbo ko bilang pangulo. Hindi ganun ang pag-iisip ko. Ang iniisip ko lang paano makapagsilbi sa tao. And we will see if that comes, but it is not the end result. Because ang unusual sa atin dalawa, nakita natin yung pagkapangulo, hindi lang yung sa television.
Yes.
Nakikita natin kung gaano kahirap talaga yun. And
Do you think that the name Marcos is an asset or a liability in terms of politics? Sobra bang expectations ng mga tao sa'yo?
well, in a sense, it is a liability in that sense because kahit na sinasabi ko, no, actually wala naman akong binabalik at you will be president in 10 years. Maraming mga ganun. And you know, you cannot say na, no, I have no intention. It's somehow disappointing to them. But that is not essential an essential problem. I think overall, in fact, I have not yet found a situation where it has been a liability. After all, I can come and speak to you on your show. So being a Marcos has not held me back in any way.